recording, Larry. So good afternoon, everyone. Robin Heffernan, the National Fire Weather Science and Dissemination Meteorologist. I'm also part of the spot development team. Along with me today on this call from that team is Keith Hockenberry. We have Rick Hozak and Bert. That we had all previously agreed on to be November 1st, transition to operations, now needs to be accelerated. The reason for that is pretty much out of our hands. The Office of Dissemination has been working to transition all of the telecommunications gateway systems to the IDP systems in College Park and Boulder. And the reason for that is that they now have a first quarter milestone for fiscal year 17 to complete this entire transition. What does that mean for us with the SPOT program? Is it means the old servers on the TG now need to be turned off much earlier than originally planned. They are telling us they would like to turn them off in mid-October. I am asking to extend at least until late October for those old SPOT servers to be turned off. So that means for us, we need to transition with our customers to the new SPOT web page operationally sooner than our original November 1st deadline. I completely understand that this is not ideal for especially our fire customers with regard to timing of doing this. But at the same time, I think we have a lot of positives and things going in our favor that we can make this work, and we can make this transition as long as we do this in a very clear manner. Now, my last bullet here is stop. What I've told you so far is for your informational purposes. We have not yet agreed with the regional headquarters as to what the new SPOT transition date will be. So it's not appropriate yet for you to go out to customers and communicating this because you don't know what the new date is yet. You're going to want to wait to hear from your regional headquarters offices, like your fire weather program managers, or possibly higher in the chain there at regional headquarters, to communicate with you, and they should be doing this rather quickly here, regarding what the new SPOT transition date for your region is going to be. So what I'm telling you is it is going to be accelerated, but I don't know what your date's going to be yet, but you should hear that from regional headquarters rather soon. What else do you need to know? So we did, as hopefully should be well aware, we did several months in the spring turn on the operational production server at NIDS, weather.gov/spot. So Spot webpage has been running operationally since springtime. It has been stable. We've only had one outage during that time since spring until now. It was rather short, and it was an outage that impacted all of NIDS. It wasn't just our Spot program that had it. It wasn't our Spot program that had an issue. It was the NIDS issue, and it impacted many other things besides Spot. But the Spot program has been stable. I sent out communications probably about a month and a half ago, everybody letting them know that we no longer want anybody to be using the preview site for any use or testing or familiarization of either you guys in your offices or your customers. If they're going to be getting familiar with the new website, they need to be doing it on the operational site, which is the weather.gov/spot. No one should be using the preview site anymore. I also, in response to several questions that we've received with regard to training information, what would be available for training for you guys to communicate with your customers on how to use the new Spot interface. What I did is I consolidated all the training information that I'm aware of, training that I've created, training that Virgil Middendorf on our development team created, as well as other tutorials that have been created by forecast offices and have been sent to me. I consolidated all of those on this Google Drive you see here. It is open to anybody to edit this Google Drive, a folder for Spot web page training. So what that means is if you in your office have developed some Spot web page training that you would like to share with others in the Weather Service so they could possibly use it, go ahead and upload it to this site as well so others have access to that training and might be able to use it for their customers as well. So this is just a consolidated location for all training that has to do with the new Spot web page for you guys to be able to take it, take bits and pieces, whatever you want to do with it, and not have to recreate the wheel to be able to share this with your customers. You should be able to find it. That's kind of a complicated link. I did send it out via email through the program manager, so hopefully you received it that way. But also through your Google Drive, you should be able to just search for Spot web page training, and you should be able to find that folder because it is being shared. It has been shared with everybody. So that's so far what you need to know. Next section of this is what you need to do. So to make sure that everybody is prepared for us to start using the new Spot web page operationally, these are the things that need to take place. All weather forecast offices must set up their content management system for the new Spot web page. This is where your office will set up your local specifications and customizations for time frames, different formats of the forecast that you will offer, different forecast elements in addition to the standard ones for each Spot element that you want to offer. This is where you set up all your specifications and customizations. Virgil Middendorf is our CMS expert on our Spot team, and so he has been helping a lot of the offices do this. But this is essential that you have this set up before you communicate to customers that they're going to be starting to use this new web page operationally. In addition to that, and a more recent thing that has been released is the new formatter that Virgil has developed for the Spot. The old forecast formatter does not work well with the new Spot web page, and so Virgil has created a new Spot formatter. All of the forecast offices need to download this in their offices and test it to make sure that it's working properly for them. If you have any issues with that, you need to get with Virgil right away so he can try to rectify those as soon as possible. Virgil, do you have any additional information that you want to add here about how they access this formatter and download it?
Yeah, the formatter is on the SCP page. So it's listed there. Find someone that has access to it to download it.
Okay. Thank you. And then finally, once your regional headquarters has communicated to you a new transition date for your region, you of course must communicate that to all of your core partners, not just fire, but make sure you get with everybody else in your office through all different types of emergency management services and make sure that transition date is communicated to your partners. What we still have left for NIDS to do for us, like I said, the new SPOT webpage has been on the operational server running very well since the early springtime. The only thing we need for NIDS to do, and this is really kind of independent of us going operational but still needs to take place, is that NIDS needs to transition our mapping interface from Google to Esri during the month of September. They have committed to that, and so they will be working on that process as well. They have assured us, though, that as far as from the user standpoint, since it's just the map background, that we should not have any issues with that. So that's all I have as far as news to share with you guys. We have several people, like I said, from the SPOT development team that's on the line today to take your questions. Please take advantage of this opportunity. Ask your questions. If you're confused about anything in the process or how something is going to work, please ask those now. And I just wanted to say a very big thank you for your patience through this process. I know we have been waiting for the new SPOT webpage for a long time. Our SPOT development team has been working for a very long time, very, very hard on this process, and I cannot thank them enough for all of the effort that they have put into this. It's pretty much volunteer time from them with our IT folks that are doing this work. And we appreciate your patience and support through this process. I know this is a little bit of a hiccup. We're having to accelerate the transition timeline, but like I said, I am confident that we're going to be able to do that in a smooth manner, being that we've had this operational up and running for several months at this point in time. So with that, before I open it up to everybody's questions, I did want to open it up to Heath and Rick and Virgil, who are the other SPOT team members that are on this call, to share anything that I missed or that you would like to add to share with the group.
This is Heath. I did want to add that acceleration date is being driven again by the gateway. The gateway for the Weather Service, the way that the SPOT program has been designed, and I really don't think the gateway folks fully understood what the implications were until sometime this summer, when they discovered that the gateway transition would make shutting down the old SPOT servers essential at the same time while they ported everything over to Boulder. So it's not only linked to a milestone, the early transition is linked to a hardwiring issue. And so if we continue and would not be able to accelerate, and it would still be November 1st, that decision would have to come at the Louis level, I believe. And so, again, as Robin said, we're still talking with the regions on implementation dates, final implementation dates. So we are doubling up our efforts to get this information out to everyone here, so that, number one, the CMS can be properly configured, and number two, there will be some customer element or something that we can offer in terms of training to assuage the issues of transitioning on October 1st during California season and also during fall prescribed burning. But again, we were hoping that some of our training would help mitigate the impact. That's all I have.
Thank you. Anything, Rick or Virgil, you'd like to add at this point?
Nothing from Virgil.
I don't have anything either.
Okay. So now it's all your turn. We're going to open it up for questions. So just chime in with your questions, and we'll do our best to answer them for you.
Yeah, this is Tim Berry in Tallahassee. How you doing? This question is either for Heath or Virgil. We are very excited that the new SPOT forecast website is going to have a request for high split, because we do get a lot of requests for that. But what I've noticed is that the output is in a format that they're not familiar with. It's in trajectories as opposed to plume. Is that something that we have to configure on our end, or is that something that you're going to be working with?
That's something that NOAA ARL has to add to their email request process. And so we put that request in, and we'll have to see if they respond.
A follow-up question. When you say plume, what exactly do you mean?
They get with a plume forecast, as showing how their plume is going to, how their smoke is going to disperse over time, rather than showing a trajectory of where that plume is going to go.
You're talking about concentrations then?
Yeah, the concentration, yes, sorry.
Yeah. So, so that is not in the plans right now with ARL to have that as part of a link from our spot web page. And the reason for that is in order to come up with those concentration forecasts, there's a lot more input information that needs to go into the system, as I'm sure you're well aware, than simply the trajectory forecast, which is information that the trajectory already has. Everything that we need for a trajectory forecast already is on the spot input form. That's not the case for concentration. So certainly something we can look into down the road, but it's a little beyond our scope at this point in time.
Thank you.
We did, like Virgil said, submit a request again. I haven't heard back, and again, we'll continue to work on the ideal situation, which includes concentrations. But again, it's not a variable that's input on the spot form yet. So cross your fingers, future development.
Anyone else?
Yeah, hi, this is Dave at La Crosse. I had asked a question before about the 500 meter start height on high split. Has that been brought up as well?
Yes, it has. That's, unlike concentrations, that's something that I think will probably take place sooner than us being able to add concentrations to that tool. I think the ability for customers to be able to determine what heights they would like to see the trajectories for, possibly even the background meteorological model that they would like to select for that, those are options that we are talking with ARL about that are kind of on the easier to employ timeline rather than the concentrations. So that should be something that you'll see within the next year or so.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, this is Jeff in Rapid City. Just one simple question about the formatter for GFE. I'm assuming that we're able to choose the order of elements. Is that done through the formatter itself in GFE? As long as we have everything in the CMS that we need element-wise, just the order is done with the formatter. Is that correct?
Correct. There's one method called we info list. So you could override that method, and that's the method that sets the order in your forecast.
Okay, thank you. That was called lead info list?
We, W-E, info list.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep.
Hi, this is Carl in Tucson. I got a question. If you have a request pending, there's one in there for ours, for instance, right now. Is there a way to delete those old request pendings, or not necessarily archive because it doesn't even have an option, but just delete an old one that is no longer valid?
If you go on the forecast page, click on that request and go to the forecast page, and your office should have an option on that page to delete it.
Okay, I'll look for it. Thanks.
Yep.
That is something
I have a question. At the end of the day, when we think that all the spots are not valid anymore, is it up to the WFO to close out all the spots?
That's correct. There's no automated process to remove any of them, so that's one of the actual training things I think was going to be discussed, that at a certain period of time, the officers should go through and, like you said, either delete an invalid request, or after 2, 3, 5, 7 days, you should be archiving all the other requests to get them off that page to make it, easier to access for the current ones.
Thank you.
And you don't want to close the incident until you know it's finished. If the customer still wants forecast for that incident, you should leave it up there.
And Virgil, that's because if you archive it too soon, then they wouldn't be able to copy into a new request. Is that correct?
Right. You want your customers just to keep submitting requests through the incident already on the page. So all the forecasts are grouped together to that incident.
Okay. Thanks.
And they'll keep your list shorter so you don't have a customer submitting a new request for a new incident for each, when they should be just copying info from the previous incident.
Virgil, this is Sacramento. Can you say that again about having an incident closed versus being open?
Okay. So a customer has a new fire, so they submit the initial request, and that request stays in the list there until it's closed. But if a customer wants a forecast to continue, daily for that incident, they should use the copy information for this incident to request a new forecast. They should not, create another separate incident. Am I explaining that clearly?
Yes, you are. So we're to direct them, instead of going in and starting a brand new spot, they just go to their previous spot and click on the copy info to spot request for new incident, and then put in the correct information, whether it be a new date or whatever, correct?
Right.
Okay.
And when they do that, all the information will carry over to the new request, and all they have to do is change the weather elements or change what periods they want to forecast for.
This is Melbourne with a question.
Go ahead.
Yes, speaking of the calendar capability, is there a set amount of time that forecasts are going to be archived on the calendar where they'll start getting purged?
Virgil or Rick, do you have an answer for that?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. I was doing something else.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, I wanted to know if there's a set amount of time on the calendar where the forecast will start getting purged, or they won't be retrievable anymore on the calendar.
No, there's no purging off that calendar. Those should stay there forever.
Okay, thanks.
Virgil, this is Dave at La Crosse again. Are you going to have a breakdown of spots per WFO like you had with the old spot page?
Are you talking about the spot statistics?
Correct.
Yes. I'm doing it for both.
Awesome.
So that'll continue.
Thanks.
This is Sacramento again. Is there a way for WFO to go in and just monitor their CWA instead of having to zoom in every time? Is there like a web command, like an ampersand with the WFO or something like that?
I believe once you zoom into a certain level on there, you can bookmark that level, and then you would go to that new URL each time versus having to scroll or whatever, zoom in like you were mentioning.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, there's a permalink link on the spot monitor page. That's how you set your area that you want to cover. And that's a good link to show your customers, because they have usually a smaller area that they're concerned with, or maybe even a larger area. So that's a good link to show your customers.
Hey, good afternoon. This is Angie in Jacksonville. Hey, Angie. Hey, I wanted to have a follow-up question regarding how the WFOs delete the requests that are showing up as active spot forecasts. Underneath the actions column on the spot monitor page, I might be missing something, but there's no like delete request option for our WFO. So we have all these, test requests that we were doing last week, and I'm not sure how to delete them.
That's the one where you have to actually click on that spot request, which will take you to the forecast page. And
right. I kind of did that when you had suggested it earlier, and at the bottom there should be a delete option.
Yep, it's like the last line. A lot of times it wraps around to be like the third line. Sometimes it'll be on the second line all the way to the right.
Okay. All right. I'm at home, so I won't have that option right now. So I'm
I
was walking through it. Okay. Well, I couldn't see it at work the other day either. So thank you for that. I will check that at work then when I get back. I also had another question
too. If you don't see it at work, so contact Virgil and he can check your IP stuff to make sure that the permission's right, that you could delete that.
Okay, very good. I had sent Virgil an email over the weekend, so thank you. I have another question. When I was using the website, the CMS site, to customize all the various spot request interfaces, like search and rescue, fire incidents, I was having trouble with the marine interfaces, like the marine search and rescue and the marine incident, in that the FWS formatter I was running, I kept getting duplicate elements. Does anybody have any insight into that? Such as duplicate wave height, duplicate temperatures that I kept getting show up in the narrative section of the FWS?
Yeah, show me the example, and I'll work on it for you.
Okay, is this Virgil?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Virgil. I'll do that.
Hey, Angie, this is John in Mobile.
Yes. Hey, John.
How you doing? In your configuration management, if you have like max min T temperature, max min relative humidity, and then another one for humidity, you're going to get those double. So you have to make sure you only choose one.
Right, thank you. I ensured that. I was having that trouble originally, but for some reason with the marine elements, those two interfaces, I have one temperature and one RH selected in the option selection where we customize it behind the scenes, and it keeps spitting out duplicates. So thank you for that insight, and I'll definitely forward the issue to Virgil.
Okay, I'm going to test that as well. Thanks.
This is Bob in Pocatello. I had a question. Is there any reason to need to redo the CMS configuration when we move from the preview to the .gov site?
You're going to have to make sure they're consistent. They don't look at the same databases. So if you just configured preview, you're going to have to configure the production too. So we did a transfer in June but I haven't done, if you did any work after early June, those changes didn't go to production. So you're going to have to go on the production CMS and make the same changes.
Hey everyone, this is Heath. I got one more point. If you encounter any problems where you think you need some troubleshooting and you don't know where to go, you could always email us, or if you are pretty sure, number one, that it's a mission critical outage, you could open up a talk trouble ticket. That'll get the conversation started as to where we should be going, either formatter or NIDS, to fix the problem. So as of right now, either an email to Robin, Virgil, Rick, and myself would be good. If it's after hours and you need to get something done right away, a talk trouble ticket, I think, is the way to go. Virgil, did I explain that correctly? I think we confirmed that on our last spot call.
Yes, if there's an outage, email the talk.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have two questions. One is the new formatter that Virgil did, new spot formatter, is that capable of working with the old spot page?
The answer to that is no. It only works for spots on a new page. Because there's additional information that formatter looks for that's not in SD2 products from the old page.
So we have to switch one way or the other then?
Right.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll test the CMS, so I don't have another question. Sorry. Thanks.
Now, they can actually have both those formatters running at the same time and just select between one or the other, right?
That's correct.
This is Phil in Blacksburg. Follow-up question on the old spot page. Are you going to deactivate that or put up a link that says this page is no longer being used? Please, contact your local weather office for details in case somebody still has that page bookmarked and goes to that page?
When we're going to have redirects posted on the old spot page with those dates when they're selected, and we get agreement with the regions on when we need to be going. So that's a great question, but we will help out the customer with a redirect off of the old spot page.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Oh, hi, this is Mark from Reno. I have a quick question. Hear me all right?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, just one of our forecasters last night was asking if there's going to be like a spell checker option on our spot forecast page window. Is there a spell checker feature included with this new page?
Are you speaking about through the formatter or on the actual web page itself?
Figure on like the actual page itself, like when we're composing our spot forecast and we're writing our discussion and such. Is there a spell check button on that?
I do not believe so. Virgil, or Rick, can you confirm that?
No, there isn't any at this time.
Okay, well, thanks.
Virgil, is there anything in the formatter for spell checking? Or any tools in the AWIP system that they use to spell check with?
Yeah, the GFE formatter has spell check. Reno occasionally composes their spot forecasts on the web, so there's no spell check for that. But if you do it in GFE, you have spell check available.
Thank you. Anything else?
Is there any backup for this if it does go down?
The backup system for Spot is going to remain the same as it has in the past, which would be through a phone system where you would talk with your customer over the phone. They would give you the information. Perhaps you would relay it back, or through an email or that type of thing. The same way we have the same backup system we have essentially for the current Spot web page that we have.
So the old Form D1 or whatever it was
The
is
old
going to...
paper form, you bet, still in the directive and it'll remain there.
I know fax probably isn't as popular now as it once was, but emailing, the information is doable as well.
I have a really quick question here from Detroit.
Go ahead.
I noticed on the new spot formatter, it shows the requester's phone number. That's been an issue in the past. People didn't want their phone numbers available online, and then they would just give like the dispatch or the public office number, but we would call them back with a question or, to check up on something, and they didn't give us a number we can actually reach them at because it was their cell phone and they didn't want it out there in public. Has there been any discussion to remove that, again, from the website and just have it show up in the STQ? Because I think they corrected that before.
Not every person can see that phone number. Only people that are within a certain IP range that you've allowed. The requester who requested the spot initially would be able to see their phone number, and the office would, but I don't think everybody can. It's not a public thing that anybody else who viewed that page would see.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Hi, Reno once again. Just one other question about the date list for the... Sometimes we have wildfire spots and they're submitted during the evening, but they're not needed until the next morning because it's more of a mop-up. So will it be able to show up in the actual date when they need the request, need the forecast completed to them? That's a problem with the old formatter.
Okay, one thing new with this website is your customers can now enter in a forecast deliver time. So they could tell the spot page, tell you when they want the forecast delivered by, and then in CMS there's like a lead time that you can configure. So if it's due at 6 in the morning and you set the lead time to 6 hours, the request will actually come in at midnight. So you could, that's one of the things you have to figure in CMS.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. I just want to make sure that that delivery date is what drives where it's going to show up on the calendar, so that the customer will be able to find it on the right date rather than the old date.
Well, this isn't date-based like the old site is. I think that's maybe something that's going to get confused. the customer would go to this map, the same map all the time, and they would see their request on there versus going to the calendar. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I guess so. So no calendar, just a map, and it'll just show up.
Well, in the current one, it's kind of like date-based, to where you would only see spots that for that specific day that you looked at on that calendar. Whereas with this map and stuff, it's not based on a certain date. It's like they can see all the requests that they have for whatever date on this map until the office goes in there and archives them. So they wouldn't have to worry about what date it's on. They just go to the map. Unless they like looking at the dates, then they could go to the calendar. You know, that would be their choice.
Oh, so you said there is a calendar still out there for like old spots that were done?
Yeah, if you go to the monitor page, it's on the right-hand side up there. There's a link to the calendar. And once you go to there, then you could, in the calendar, there's actually the ability to select active requests or archive requests. So if they left it on the active request, then they would see it on that month's calendar, all the requests that they have that are active within that map coordinates.
So that archive request thing is done by the fire agency, or is that something that the WFO does?
The WFO decides to archive the active spot requests.
Okay. Hey, thanks. I think that's all from me.
I haven't tested this, but once the spots are archived, will they still show up on the calendar?
Yes, they will always show up on the calendar, but on that, like I said, on that calendar, there's a radio button on there that you select between archived and active. So if the archived radio button was selected, then they would show up there forever.
Okay.
Do we have any questions?
How does this relate to this is San Antonio, how does this relate to the STQ product?
Can you be more specific?
How does it relate to the STQ product that lets us know that the user wants a spot forecast?
Yeah, the new site generates the SDQ product just like the old site, although the SDQ from the new site has additional information that it sends to the forecast office.
All righty.
So,
thanks.
Anything else? Okay, we'll go ahead and wrap this up then. I just did want to reiterate a few things that came out of the questions that I thought are really important, so I want to repeat them and make sure that everybody understands this. The first thing has to do with the spot management. There were questions about that, archiving, deleting requests. I just want to reiterate that that is the management responsibility of the WFO. You need to delete a request if it's no longer valid, or you need to archive the request if it is completed and it's past the date time that you want it to actually show up on that map interface. So if you do not do that, you are going to continue to have several spots on that page, and it's going to be very difficult for you and your customers to weed through those to find the important spot forecasts and the valid ones for the time frame. So make sure you're aware of that. CMS, in setting up your CMS, anything that you had set up in preview was transferred over on June 1st. If you had made any changes in CMS to your preview page post that, it has not transferred over to the production server, so you need to go in and make sure that you manually make those changes on the production side, the operational server, and do a double check to make sure that you don't have any differences that you don't want between the preview and the production side. And then the final thing I wanted to repeat is the talk ticket. Being that this is on the NIDS production, which is their operational server, if there is an outage, you want to submit a talk ticket so that you will reach the 24/7 support service for bringing that system back up. Anything final that anybody wants to close out with? Thank you, everyone, for joining in, especially to the development